We decided to break the rules, kind of, because social distancing is getting a little bit less distancing now, and Chris and myself decided to have a little walk down into the East Sussex and came on across this little manor house, which belongs to James Gordon, who's one of those Audiotonix chaps. So the last time we saw James was in a club lounge in Gatwick. Back then, I asked James what would he like to drink, and we got quite a detailed answer from James. And today I'm going to ask James, what are we drinking today?
First of all, welcome. It's hardly a manor house, but that's very sweet of you. At the moment, I'm having a Pimm's because I thought that would be quite ironic, seeing as that was not one of the drinks that I mentioned. But I think shortly after, when we have finished this interview, we will be enjoying a nice glass of red wine and trying to catch up from our 2 metre distance.
Absolutely. Thanks you for inviting us both here, and long may we have more interviews like this. It makes a welcome change. I know you've been quite passionate in your support for freelancers, for example, and the industry that has been largely affected.
I think our industry it's like we all left school and joined a circus, all right? It wasn't a career plan for most of us. We were passionate about what we do. And if there's one thing that I think this has highlighted to me is our industry's become quite professional now, but actually in government circles and that area, we still fall between the gaps. Now, as a manufacturer, it's slightly easier for us because we can point to things we make and design, and we can point to what we manufacture and what we export. About 75% of our industry is freelancers. They really are. And you know, they're freelancers that travel a lot too. You know, they're potentially away from home nine plus months a year. The right people don't know that they're there earning money and paying their taxes and contributing to society and all the things that actually, if you are, this is a time when the governments need to look after those people. And a lot of them are being forgotten about. And that, I think, is as a manufacturer within the industry, it is part of our job to make sure that doesn't happen again. It's a bit late to solve it on this occasion, but I don't want to be sat here in another 5 years or whatever it is and have something similar or maybe a bit different to this or whatever, and have the same problem where governments don't realise that the creative spaces are very freelance heavy and actually when they're working they do earn good money, you know, and they do pay the tax on the money. And generally I think the people in our industry are supportive of society. I think, you know, we want to help each other, and that is encouraging. Now, a lot of companies are doing training because if people are off work right now and they can't work, doing nothing is not the best way of getting through this. So going out and signing up for some of the online courses that most of the manufacturers are doing, and actually it's not just the manufacturers, there's courses on how to do other things better too, maybe manage your finances better or work out how to get through this better. And I think taking part in those, hopefully you can come out of it constructively. We did a post last week, which I was very pleased to see, that, you know, we were promoting that there was a theatre show taking part in Korea. And it's like, yeah, there is, you know, I think it was Phantom of the Opera was running in Korea. And it's great to see that South Korea is opening up and shows are taking place to full capacity. We sold some product to a rental company in Spain a couple of weeks ago as well, and it's like, okay, that's good. And they're doing that because they can see that the back end of the summer is going to be something that they're going to need to do some festivals and some form of shows too. Not started in the UK yet, but we're still able to install sound here and in America as well. Then you've got other brands, you know, obviously Allen & Heath, very, very strong in the sort of audio creation space. So, you know, whether that's beginner bands or more experienced pub bands or whatever, but they have a big space in that creation and also in DJ, and both of those markets actually are doing very well at the moment as artists are frustrated at being locked up and are probably being more creative actually because there's stuff to write songs about. SSL same, you know, very large steps over the last few years into audio creation with Fusion and 6 and the most recent USB interfaces with 2 and 2+. They're all doing very well as people are at home, you know, trying to make their Zoom audio better, or they're trying to record their own vocals or learn to play guitar or whatever. And that segment is doing very well. And broadcast is picking up. You know, Calrec had a tough time when all sports broadcasting stopped, but you know, you can see now Bundesliga's back, Premier League's back, golf's back, NASCAR's back. So as those sports come back, their workload is growing, and we can see the orders coming back into the car world as well. So there is, I want to give a message of hope a little bit. I mean, 2020 is going to be terrible. It's going to be a year none of us will look back at fondly, but hopefully we all learn something from it. And I think, we will all be as a community tighter when we come out of this and work closer to make sure that, maybe we protect ourselves better for the next time around.
You're managing large teams here remotely. How have you managed this personally? How's it been? Has it been a challenge for you, or has it been natural?
Actually, in some ways, it's been quite rewarding. I mean, we obviously put the group together because it's something we believed in, right? And we had a good team, core team of people, and we've hired very well as well. Whether it's R&D functions or operations or marketing, which is every element of our business has had a push. Whether it's how do we manufacture at this rate? Supply chain stuff's been a real challenge on manufacturing. Yeah. R&D, we've got just over 200 R&D people all working remotely right now. And actually, it's working amazingly well. Software guys, probably because there's less distractions from being in the office, but also less distractions at the weekend too, because, what can you do? So our output of software has been amazing, actually, over the last 3-4 months. Hardware's a little bit more challenging because there's that, how do you touch it? How does it work? What's the user experience from it? We were laughing because we were trying to sign off the fit and finish on a product. And the only way we could do it was to link it back to items you might find in a regular household. And all I could imagine was the 15, 20 of us that were on the call on this Teams meeting, all running around our houses, grabbing, bits of something to go, oh yeah, that's what it's going to feel like, or how does this look? And we got there. It was slower. It wasn't as quick as we would have been if we'd been in the office. But the next time we do it, I think we'll have a better way of doing it, so we get a bit quicker. So I think they've adapted. Marketing, huge amount of pressure on marketing, actually, and a very different type of pressure. It's not organising trade shows or reviews or articles on particular shows. It's trying to manage being sensitive to our customers and making sure we're giving them what they need. That's meant a big swing to online training and interaction and making customers realise they can pick up the phone, and it's not about selling something, it's about engaging with you and making you, feel like there's someone to talk to.
Quite recently you invited anyone to have provide a question, any question.
On our the Friday night things.
Yeah, how did that go?
Yeah, they're good, actually. I think they're fun. I mean, I did one with John Stadius. We did one of the early ones, and John's always fun, distracting him from his fish tank and stuff.
How's John coped during all this lockdown? Because he's the bad scientist.
John's carried on working. He's been in the office probably 2-3 times a week to pick up different bits of hardware and stuff. I think we've all done really well, actually. I think everyone, customers I speak to and engineers I speak to, I think we've all done really well. I think we've all had enough. Actually,
yeah.
I was more worried about how I was going to be at the beginning, and actually I've had bad times, as I think everybody's had. It seems to be in waves, and it's quite interesting. We all go through them, but they're not all aligned. So if I'm having a bad Tuesday, I've got someone I can pick the phone up to at work who's probably having a great Tuesday, and that offsets the negatives.
You can tell, can't you, straight away, because we're all quite fragile during this time, I think.
Yeah, it's funny, I was on a conference call the other day, and Andy Doherty was on it as well, who runs AdLib. And I thought I was fine, actually. But he rang me up straight after. He said, James, you're not yourself, mate. You all right? And we just had 10-minute chat. And that's what I mean about we're all supporting each other. And I think we've got to continue to do that until we get back to work, and then we can all go back to taking a mickey. Do
you think this will change the way we want to be entertained in the future?
If anything, I think the absolute reverse. I really do. I think, it's been great, hasn't it? The first few home shows, Chris from Coldplay getting on and doing his sets at home, and Gary Barlow's been doing some as well, hasn't he? A few of them have been coming out. And they were great in the beginning, weren't they? Because they were a little glimmer of hope. But they're not the same, are they?
It's not, no.
Not the same. Concerts and theatre shows and festivals are about experiencing things together. If anything, I've come out of this going, what we do is quite important. And you know, and there's a bit of criticism about these drive-in concerts that are being talked about. You know what? I think great. They're not viable longer term. They're not going to be the same experience and all of that. But at least there's something. They're a stepping stone to get us back to what we all really want.
Well, human beings, and when you go to a football game or a concert, it's the experience and the whole, your senses come alive.
As a Chelsea fan, I watched a Chelsea match this week. And you know what? It's getting better. The audio's good. It's difficult for the players, I think, to get into it in the same way. I think the home and away advantage changes. But all of it just highlights is that we're sociable animals and we want to be together. And being in isolation, you can use technology to get some satisfaction, but it's not the same as actually being in a room together.
Vanessa and Isaac must be loving it, you being around the house.
Yeah, I think we better pass on that one. I think, yeah, there's moments. I mean, I've not travelled this little since I was 16.
Well, what has been the best part of this last 3 months for you?
We built a group of companies to make the sum of it greater than the individual parts. And it's brilliant to see it actually working. It's great to see the companies helping each other and great to see how the group as a whole has managed to ride through what is probably if someone had read this to you as a film script, you would have gone, this is unbelievable.